Hello everyone. In this video lecture, I'll be talking about mapping by tetrad analysis. First of all, what is mean by mapping that I would like to tell you. Chromosome mapping is nothing but the assignment of genes to specific location on a chromosome. Means we can find out the distance between two gene, or we can find out the distance between the particular gene from the centromere. So, or we can determine the sequence of gene, like A gene is followed by B followed by C, like this way. This is known as chromosome mapping. Now, why do we call it as a tetrad? See, the each pair of chromosome called a tetrad or a bivalent. It consists of 4 chromatids, because before it undergo the division, either the meiotic or mitotic division, the DNA replicates itself and therefore it results in formation of sister chromatids. So there are two homologous chromosomes, each having two sister chromatids. So here total it consists of 4 chromatids. At this point, the homologous chromosome, they come very close to each other, and we call it as a synapses formations. And then here we can see the crossover takes place, and that results in exchange of genetic material. Okay, so this the analysis of this tetrad, that we are going to use it for mapping purpose, and therefore it is called as tetrad analysis for mapping. Now, why we have selected Neurospora, that I'll tell you. See, the Neurospora has some advantage for study of crossover. The vegetative phase of its life cycle, the here that the haploid spores, it germinate into the mycelia, and then the sexual reproduction is achieved by coming together of two hyphae of proper mating type, followed by the fusion between these two nuclei, which results in formation of zygote. Now this zygote, it enlarges into an elongated structure. We call it as a ascus. Then this zygote nucleus, it start dividing meiotically. Here the meiosis first followed by meiosis second division takes place, which results in formation of 4 products which arrange themselves in a linear form inside that ascus sac. Now, each of this ascus spore, again it undergoes the mitotic division, which results in formation of 8 nuclei, and then the uh, it is followed by development of wall, and that results in formation of ascospore. Now, what makes the Neurospora interesting for genetics is the fact that the ascospores are linearly ordered in the same sequence as the chromatids were on the meiotic metaphage plates. It is therefore possible to recover all the 4 products of single meiosis and analyze them, and also teach and also each chromatid from a tetrad. This is called as tetrad analysis. Now let's see in detail about this. As we are going to study tetrad analysis by considering the example of Neurospora, so I feel that you should know the life cycle of Neurospora. See, this is the haploid ascospores having a mating type capital A. This is another haploid ascospores having a mating type small a. Now the germination of this ascospores takes place, and it results in formation of hyphae, which are haploid in nature. So this is nothing but the vegetative mycelium having small a mating type, whereas this is nothing but the vegetative mycelia having the capital A mating type. Later on, the fusion between the cells of opposite mating types takes place, and it results in formation of cells having the diploid nuclei. Each nuclei is from each of the mating type. This is followed by the nuclear fusion. This is the fusion between these two nuclei. After the fusion of this nuclei, now it has got the diploid number, that is the haploid number of neurospora is 7 chromosome. Now this nucleus has got the diploid number. Now once the zygote formation takes place, it is followed by the development of the ascus sac. Okay, now this diploid nuclei, it undergo the meiotic division. Meiotic first division, which results in formation of two spores, and again it undergo the meiotic second division, which results in formation of four spores. Then these each of these spore undergo the mitotic division, and it results in formation of 8 spores. Then the wall development takes place, and that results in formation of the ascus sac having the 8 ascospores. And if you look at these 8 of these ascospores, they are arranged themselves in an ordered form. Ordered form in the sense the way these spores, these nuclei were there in the during the meiotic division. You can see this nuclei where at this position it results in formation of two spores. Again, these two undergo the mitotic division, and these are the four ascospores which are produced from this nuclei. Similarly, these are four which are produced from this nuclei. Okay, this is the ascus sac containing the 8 ascospores. Now again the release of this spores takes place, and again the germination of these ascospores takes place, followed by the development of vegetative hyphae, fusion. Again it will follow the sexual reproduction. So this is nothing but the life cycle of neurospora. Now for mapping purpose, we are going to focus uh, on the meiotic division, first meiotic division, second, and mitotic division. Let's see in detail. See, this is the diploid nuclei. Now it undergo the first meiotic division, and thus the homologous chromosome gets separated from each other. Again it undergo the second meiotic division. It results in formation of two more nuclei, and this is nothing but the tetrad, as there are four nuclei present. Now the next each of this nuclei undergo the further mitotic division. Please make it clear that the first two divisions, they are meiotic division, like first meiotic division, second meiotic division, and it is followed by the mitotic division. In mitotic division we call it as a equational division. Each of this haploid nuclei results into two haploid nuclei, so all put together it results in formation of 8 nuclei. So this is nothing but the octet of four spore pairs. There are four pairs, therefore it is called as a octet of four spore pair. Okay, so this is the development of the sexual spore, that is the development of the ascospores around the nuclei. Okay, so thus this is the way which where we can see how the ordered tetrad is formed within the ascus in the Neurospora crassa. Little bit detail, like uh, how the segregation of alleles takes place here. there are two ways, like we are going to study the segregation of allele in after the first meiotic division. We call it as a M1 segregation pattern and M2 segregation pattern, where we will study how the alleles get segregated at the end of the second meiotic division. Now here I'll be focusing about the M1 segregation pattern. See, these two are homologous chromosomes, and they differ from each other. Like it has got the small a, and this has got the capital A. These two are different mating types. Okay. Now after the first meiotic division, what happened here? The homologous chromosome gets separated from each other. I mean, the segregated from each other. So this chromosome, that which is obtained from the having the capital A mating type, it moves in one cell, whereas the small a, it moves in the another cell. So this is the result of first meiotic division, where you can see that the capital A is gets segregated from the small a at the end of the first meiotic division, and therefore it is called as the M1 segregation pattern. Now this first meiotic division is followed by the second meiotic division, where the sister chromatids get segregated from each other. So this is the capital A, which is formed from this, and the another capital A. Again, this results into formation of the two nuclei having the mating type small a and small a. Now all of these four nuclei undergo the one more division. We call it as a mitosis, which is the equational division. Here each results into two different nuclei. So capital A, capital A, capital A, capital A. This results into formation of two nuclei. Again, this results into formation of two nuclei. Okay. Now what is important over here? Just focus over here that this is the diploid cell having the homologous chromosome capital A and small a. Now these are alleles. These are two different forms of the gene. We call it as a alleles. Now these alleles get segregated from each other at the end of the meiotic division first. See, capital A is segregated from the small a, and therefore this is known as the M1 segregation pattern. Now see, there are two possible types of M1 segregation patterns. Now, which are these two types? See, this is the capital A and the small a. Now, at the time, as per the law, Mendel's third law of independent assortment, there is a possibility that this may arrange like this way, where the capital A will be over here and the small a over here. Okay, but there is a possibility that this chromosome may be present at this position and this small a may be present at this position. Now let us see what difference does it what difference will be seen in terms of the arrangement of this ascospore. See, first we are going to consider this type of arrangement where capital A is present here. So this is the capital, this is the segregation of alleles from each other, and this will followed by the second meiotic division, where again this sister chromatids get segregated from each other. Here also sister chromatid gets segregated from each other. Now each of this nuclei will undergo the one more mitotic division. A will results into capital A. This capital A will produce this two nuclei. This small a will produce this small a, this two nuclei, like this way. You will find this arrangement. Now the other case, where if this capital A is present here and the small a, this chromosome is present here, then what will happen? We will get this kind of arrangement. What is the difference between this arrangement and this arrangement? Look at over here. This is it has got the pattern like capital A, capital A, capital A, and capital A, followed by small a, small a, small a, and small a. If it would have been in this way, then in it where the small a will be at the top side and the capital A would be at the bottom, then we will get this kind of ascospore arrangement where small a will be at the top and the capital A will be at the bottom. Okay, so there is a possibility that we may get 50% chances are that we may get either this kind of ascospore arrangement or this kind of ascospore arrangement. But this two type of arrangement, that is the result of M1 segregation pattern. In both cases, the alleles get segregated after the meiosis division first. Now, what is M2 segregation pattern? If the crossover takes place at the tetrad level, in the sense these are two sister chromatids of capital A mating type, and these two are sister chromatids of small a mating type. Uh, During a prophase first of meiotic division, this tetrads comes very close to each other. I mean, these sister chromatids comes very close to each other and forms the synapses is formed where there is a possibility of crossover. You can see the crossover has taken place between these two homologous chromosome, and because of crossover, some part of chromosome get exchanged. Means here this is the small a chromosome, but because of crossover now the capital A would come over here, and this part of chromosome, that is the small a, would go over here. See, this is the way where you can see very clearly this much part of a chromosome is exchanged. Now capital A is with small a. Here this much part of chromosome is exchanged, and therefore instead of small a, now the capital A is here. So even after the first meiotic division, you can see that capital A is still with small a. Means the alleles are not segregated from each other. Now at the first meiotic division is followed by the second meiotic division. What happened in the second meiotic division? The sister chromatids get segregated from each other. That is this centromere, that is the point where two sister chromatids are linked with each other. This centromere divides and this sister chromatids get segregated from each other, and because of which now this capital A will get segregated from the small a. Okay, similarly this capital A gets segregated from the small a. Now it becomes clear that here the alleles get segregated from each other at the end of the second division. Why this happened? Because the crossover has taken place during the meiosis first of the uh, during the prophase first of meiotic division, and because of crossover the part of chromosome get exchanged, and therefore the allele gets segregated at the end of the meiotic second division, and therefore it is called as the M2 or segregation pattern. So the crossover between the locus A and the centromere. See, what is the position of crossover? Crossover has taken place between the centromere and A gene, isn't it? And this crossover results in the M2 segregation pattern. And here if you look at the ascospore arrangement, you can see capital A followed by small a, again capital A, small a. This is the second division segregation pattern. Here you will find 2 2 whereas in previous case it was 4 Okay. Number of recombinant, these are all these all patterns are formed because of crossover between this homologous chromosome. So we need to count the we need to count the ascus sac having this pattern. Okay, M2 division pattern. So that's why it is called as a M2 pattern is nothing but it is a result of crossover between centromere and A locus. Therefore, The M2 count the number of M2 ascus sac divided by the total ascus sac. Now Y2 multiplied by half. See, if you look at the M2 pattern here, uh, because in any M2 ascus sac, only half of the spores are recombinant, whereas the remaining two, they are like the parental cell, and therefore we need to multiply it by half. So that will that will give you the total number of recombinants. So half into M2 ascus sac divided by the total ascus sac. So that will give you the recombination frequency between a locus and the centromere. So two simple formulas to remember. Recombination frequency between A and centromere is equal to 1/2 of the M2 ascus sac divided by the total ascus sac. Now, that was like how to find out the distance between centromere and A gene. Now, this will help you to find the gene to gene mapping, means only three types of tetrad are possible for two pair of allele. Here we can find out the distance between two gene. Let us find out the distance between these two gene. This is the parent 1 and parent 2. This is the wild type and it is denoted like A plus and B plus. These are two genes present on this chromosome, whereas this is another parent which is mutant with respect to A as well as B, and that's why it is written small a and small b. Now the fusion between these two cells takes place. It will result in formation of the diploid, that is the diploid zygote is formed. Now it will undergo the meiosis. Now after meiosis, there are three possibilities that we may get the parental dye type. I mean, without crossover, it may result into the as this it may results into the tetrad types with haploid progeny genotypes, where these are similar to the parental types. Or here if you look at, we may get the this kind of tetra type where these two are similar to the parental genotype, whereas these two are recombinant and it is called as a tetra type. And we may get the recombinant and we call it as a non-parental ditype. Now details about this we'll study further. Now let us consider case 1 where there is no linkage between A gene and B gene. So crossover has not taken place. So this is the chromosome crossover is not there, and what we are considering that there is no linkage in the sense A and B when they are present on the separate chromosome. In that case what will happen, let's see. This is the A gene present on this chromosome, B gene present on another chromosome, and this is the another parental cell. Okay, now at the end of the meiosis first, what happened, the segregation of the homologous chromosome takes place, and uh, it is followed by the meiosis second. So it will result in formation of four haploid. See, this is the one, it has got small a and small b as it is. This will go over here. Small a and small b. Okay. Second, small a, small b, small a, small b. Okay. Now here a plus, b plus, a plus, b plus. Okay. So it is like the parental type. Therefore, parental genotype is there. Therefore, it is known as the parental dye type. Two types are there, no? Small a, small b, and this is a plus and b plus. Okay. Now, if if they arrange themselves as per the independent Mendel's third law of independent assortment. Now let us see the different orientation of this chromosome. See here, B small b chromosome is with the small a chromosome, but in this case we have shown the reverse orientation. B plus is with small a. Okay, so it will result in a different genotype. Here it will be small a with B plus, small a with B plus, A plus is with small b, A plus is with small b. Okay, so these are four. If you look at the genotype of this haploid, these genotypes are totally different than the parental genotype, and therefore it is called as the non-parental ditype. That is, the four recombinants are there, out of which 50% parental and the 50% recombinants. Okay, now four recombinants are there. So here you can see uh, four parental are there and four recombinants are there. What does it mean? That depending upon the orientation of this chromosome, if it get oriented like this way, then it will result into the parental ditype. If it get oriented like this way, if the reverse orientation is there, it will result into the four recombinants. Means 50% chances are there that we may get the parental ditype, or we may get the recombinants. Okay, depending upon the orientation of this chromosome, and of course provided there is no linkage between A and B, means A is present on this chromosome and B is present on this chromosome, means either we'll get the parental ditype or we will get the recombinants. Equal frequency is there. Now, if there is a linkage, here again we are going to consider that no linkage between loci A and B, but here we are going to consider the crossover. If the crossover takes place between the homologous chromosome, then what will happen? Say this is chromosome 1 and chromosome 2, and the crossover has taken place between this has taken place in chromosome 1. Then again it will result into the formation of recombinants. See this chromatids has not taken part in the crossover, therefore it will be, this haploid will be like A and B. Okay, so this is like a parental genotype. Now even this has not taken part, so it will be A plus B plus, again like parental. Now the crossover has taken place between this chromatid and this 2 and 3, so there would be the exchange of this A plus uh, locus. So this A plus will go over here and only small a will move down to here. Okay, so in that case A plus will be with B and small a will be with B plus. So this is nothing but the recombinant genotype. So if the crossover takes place, then there would be two parental genotype and two recombinant genotype. Okay, so here again 50% parental and 50% recombinant. A crossover in each of the two chromosomes would produce parental ditype or non-parental ditype with equal frequency. Again here uh, parental ditype is equal to non-parental ditype. Even the same we have seen in previous case where we have not considered the crossover. Now, again, the no linkage between A and B. This is the summary what we have seen, that see here metaphage arrangement. Okay, it will result into the parental ditype. The reverse arrangement means this chromosome has moved here. See, B plus has moved up, it is up to the top, and small b it is at the bottom because of reverse orientation of this chromosome, it results into the formation of four recombinant. And here if the crossover takes place between chromatid 2 and chromatid 3, again it would result into the two parental genotype and two recombinants. Means in all of these three cases, if you observe it carefully, here also in these two cases it will here you will see parental ditype is equal to non-parental ditype, and here also pay 50% chances of parental and 50% are with recombinants. Means all put together the total parentals is equal to total recombinants. Means recombinant uh, frequency it is 50%. Now here another case where we are considering that gene A and B, they are linked. Means they are, if they are present on the same chromosome, then what will happen? Let us see over here the product. No crossover. First we are going to consider that there is no crossover. When there is no crossover, then it will result into the, as it is separation, like small ab again small ab a plus b plus a plus b plus a plus b plus a plus b plus. But if you look at this genotype, it is similar to the parental ditype, means four parental. If there is a single crossover between chromatid 2 and chromatid 3, then it will result into the genotype where this would be parental similar to one parent, this would be similar to another parent, and you will find the recombinant over here, because this small a, now it will be with this b plus, okay, and this small a plus would be with b, a plus with b, means you will find the recombinant over here. Okay. Let's go further. If there is a double crossover means if the crossover event takes place two times. Okay, now in that case you will find four recombinants, because there is involvement of this two chromatids as well as this two chromatids, double crossover. So it will result into the four recombinants. Now let us see, if we want to find out the recombination frequency between A and B, what is the formula? That number of recombinant divided by the total number. Now number of recombinant means NPD, and means non-parental ditype. Non-parental ditype means recombinant, plus, see this is NPD, okay, and plus 1/2 of tetra type. Why 1/2 of tetra type? Because if you look at this tetra type here, half are recombinants. Okay, so total recombinants would be the non-parental ditype plus 1/2 of recombinant. Okay, divided by the total Ascus